All right, picking up where we left off. Last time we added a chat box to store a bunch of text, and we added a line so we can type here and then the information will go up to the top. So if I type and I push enter, the information goes up to the top, and it even clears that bottom line, but it's not adding new lines of stuff. It's just putting the stuff on one line and then erasing, which is fine. We're still working on it. So that's where we left off. Okay, let's keep going. So we have, if we press enter, it's going to get the text that was in that line and put it into the chat area. And then it's going to erase the information in this chat edit, that line part. So that's good. All right, so right now it's wiping out the line every single time. So we got that line, and then when we want to put a new one in here, it just erases the one that was before. That's not what we're trying to do. We want to store that information in there so people can see what was said in the past. Okay, so right here, this says take the text and make it equal to exactly what the person just typed. Well, we don't really want to make it equal. We want to add it to it. So we want to do plus equals. All right, so this is going to take the chat and it's going to add what the person tried to put in and just add it to it. So let's try that and see what we get. Hello, can you hear me? All right, so it's up there. Yes, I can hear you. All right, so now we're not erasing anything, but we're putting everything on the exact same line. Uh-oh, that is jumbled. Yeah, so we want a new line for each sentence, I guess. All right, so how do we add a new line? Well, that's pretty simple. If you do plus and then \n, this adds a new line. Okay, so we need to add some comments in here. So we'll say when the enter button is pressed, add some text and a new line. Erase the old chat. There we go. Erase the old chat. Okay, let's see what this does for us. So we'll push play. So we'll type hello. Yes. Hello. How can I help you? There it is. So now we have, anytime we add something new line of stuff, it's going to leave the stuff that was there and it's going to add a brand new line so people can look and see what is being written. Okay. This function, I'm going to go ahead and label it. This one was, or is, built-in, I'll say, built-in input gathering function. And we'll say event is the button pressed. Okay, so let's go over our stuff right quick. At the very top, we have our chat area. That's that big square at the top. Then right here, this chat edit, that's the small bar at the bottom. That's for our new chat. This function is a built in function that if you push a button, this function will play any button on your keyboard, and it will tell it what that key was that was pressed. So we're checking this. If it is the enter button, then we want it to add some text and a new line. And the text that it's going to add comes from that bottom line. And this part right here is the new line. And then at the very bottom, or after that, we want to clear the chat so a person can write the next line without having to erase it every single time. One more thing you can do to this is you can add a user that's going to say each one of these things. So I'm going to add this as a variable. So I'll come at the top and I'll say user, and I'll say equal to, and I'll give my user a name. So my user is Magnus. So anytime somebody talks, it's probably going to be the user, or it's going to be the user. So what I'll say is Magnus, I'll say user plus, and then chat edit. Alright, so let's give this a shot. So then I could say hello. Now it has Magnus in the front, but that doesn't look very well formatted, so let's fix it. We'll say user, which is Magnus, and I will say plus a semicolon. Gives me a little space there. Let's try that. Play. So now we'll say hello. And now it says Magnus basically says hello. And you can add that stuff there if you wanted later, but anyway, pretty straightforward. Can anyone hear me? Cool. Alright, so there's other stuff that we can do. I made it where in my other one that if you put a whole bunch of text in there, so let's say let's just do this. Like if you filled it up with a bunch of lines, as you went to the bottom, you'll see that it's not automatically scrolling you down. So the text is keeping you up at the very tip top. When we know that chat logs get full, you want to see what the most recent thing that was said. So you don't want to have to click and scroll yourself. You want it to automatically scroll you to the bottom. I did make that, so we could do that. Let's see. Okay, so anytime you push the enter button, it is putting the text in there and clearing that line. So we also need to know how many lines of text are in our chat area. So for example, let's say okay, so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to check and see how many lines are actually in our chat area. So the new line is this right here, that \n. So I will want to know how many \n's are in my chat area. So I can use a for loop. Okay, so what we'll do here, I'll show you how this works. So I'll say for x in chat area dot text print x. Okay, so what this line right here does is it goes to the chat area text, which is our big box, and it gets all of the text in there. And then it's just going to reprint it out. So for each letter in chat area text, it's going to just reprint it all right back out. Now that may not seem very helpful right now, but I'll show you. First I'll prove to you that it does it. So if I say hello, it's going to, and I'll press enter, it's going to go up there, and then it's going to read all of them and retype it out down here in my output. So if I push enter, you can see it goes and it says Magnus : hello. Well, at the very end, right here, there is a new line. So it says new line, right? But you just can't see it because it's a new line. It's an empty space. We need to know how many of those empty spaces there are so we can tell the chat log to scroll down that many spaces. If there's only one line, then we want to see line 1. But if we're on line 150, we need to see line 150 and not line 1. So otherwise, all that text will be invisible. Okay, so right now we're getting all the text in the chat area, but we want to check and see if it's a new line. So we'll say if x is equal to a new line, print I found a new line. All right, so this is actually not going to do what we want just yet, but I'm proving to you that we can find the new lines. Okay, so let's press play. Now, if I just push enter and don't put, if I push enter with some code in there or some text, it should print out one time I found a new line, because it says if x is equal to \n, print I found a new line. So there it is. We have a line up there. Now if I do it again, it should print it out 2 times, because we have this line and then another. So there'll be a total of 3, because we have 1 right now, and I'll press enter and it'll put another one and count the other one. So I know it's kind of confusing. So now we have 3 because there's 2. So 1, 2, 3. We did it once the first time and it found 1. The second time we did it, there was the first one there and it found the second one. Okay, so we can basically count how many lines there are. So right here, I will say var line is equal to 0. So this is just going to be my counter. I'll put it right here, counter. Now, instead of typing how many I found a new line over and over, I'm just going to say line plus equals 1. So it's going to go to the text. It's going to check everything in the text. Check all the letters. And if it finds a new line, it's going to add 1 to new line. And it's going to count them up. And then I'm going to print that out. I'm just going to say print. There are currently, and then I'll say, let's do comma lines, space lines. Okay. What did I miss? Line. Oh, it's line. Okay. All right, so it's going to go to the text in that box, check them all, looking for a new line. Every time it finds a new line, it's going to add 1. After it adds 1, after it adds up all the lines, it's going to print out a sentence that tells us how many lines there are. Let's give it a shot. So right now we'll say hello, and it's going to say there are currently 1 lines. Hello, how are you? Now there are 2 lines, 3 lines, and then you can just keep going, and you can see that the lines keep piling up. Now, we are not scrolling down yet, but we know how many lines we have that we need to scroll down. Technically, we need to be on line 51 right now. We're stuck all the way up at the top. We need it to be down at line 51 so we can see what the most recent stuff was. Okay, so let's go take a look on this page here. And if you click on chat area, you can look over here on the side and you can see scroll vertical, the current vertical scroll value. That tells us what line we're on, basically. When it's on 0, that means we're at the very top, and when it's on 150, we're on line 150. So now let's change this to where that each time we go, we're going to change the scroll. So we're going to say chat area dot scroll vertical is equal to, and we want it to be equal to that line that we're on, that we just chose right there. Let's see if this works. Hopefully it does. I think I did it a little bit different way the other time, but we'll see. Alright, so we got that. Nothing crashed. Let's keep on going and see if this thing scrolls down with us. Look at there. So it's taking that line, figuring out which one we're on, and it's following with the scroll. So it doesn't just stay at the very top. It's following our new text. Hello, I just made a new line. Great. There we go. Some stuff you're going to need to do whenever you make a chat box. Alright, hopefully you guys followed along, and hopefully you guys got this working. Cool deal. See y'all in the next one.